Good day, everyone. I was born and raised in Detroit. Growing up there, I saw people like me running things. This is a courtroom, not a circus, so we're gonna calm down.
I'm sorry.
What I found there was a passion that I didn't know existed.
This is the bottom line.
I'm excited to free fall into the limitless possibilities with we the people. So many are fearful of the law. They think it's something that works against them.
I think you need to begin to accept responsibility for your mistakes.
We are the people.
Newlywed Nicole Jackson claims her special day was nearly ruined by an incompetent wedding planner who had a panic attack. Tim Sullivan says he did his best despite the circumstances.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Lauren Lake presiding.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Thank you, Sean. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
This is a case of Jackson versus Sullivan. Ms. Jackson, you are suing the defendant for $1,000 for not executing the day of your wedding. He was your planner, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain to the court what happened.
He basically ruined my wedding, Your Honor. On the day of, he didn't do the job. He got very stressed out. When I was a nervous wreck, of course, I was the bride. And in the end, he had a panic attack, so we had to tend to him.
At your wedding, the planner had the panic attack.
Yes.
Not the bride.
Exactly.
All right, so take me back. I want to understand how you entered into this contractual relationship. Had you been referred to this wedding planner? You'd worked with him before and something else? What?
I went on forums, wedding forums, and he was highly recommended, had a lot of great reviews. I had a meeting with him, and he was great.
And at the meeting, you decided, I really like this guy's style. I want him to plan.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Sullivan, I want you to get in here. So you entered into a contractual relationship with Ms. Jackson to be the wedding planner at her wedding.
Yes, Your Honor.
What did the contract entail?
The contract entailed, it was a $14,000 budget for the entire wedding, which was totally absurd. But what we're basically dealing with is a Karen kind of person over here. Don't let the pretty face fool you. I believe she's a master manipulator. It was a $2,000 payment to my company.
All right, so for $2,000, when guests arrived at the reception,
yes,
you were then supposed to handle
everything. It was way too
about
much.
The wedding.
Yes, way too much.
Every detail.
Every detail. She had me doing multiple things. Then her friend Jessica got involved, who I didn't even know was coming to the wedding, and then she wanted Jessica to step in and basically take my role. I took a step back, and that's when things just got out of control.
So you're at the wedding. When do things start going awry, Ms. Jackson?
So I had asked for no kids at the wedding, and some of my guests showed up with kids. And Mr. Tim here, he just asked them to leave.
Everything she's saying BS. She asked me for two things: no cell phones and no kids. When there were cell phones, I had a basket out. I had one of the valets look at the cell phones. She didn't want the cell phones. Then Jessica made another decision to have cell phones in case there was an emergency. While she says I was having a panic attack, I was actually stepping back, making a call so I could get more tables and chairs because there's all these guests coming. And the guests that were coming with the kids, I, yes, escorted them off of the premises.
And so instead of, you didn't take a minute to say to the bride, some of your guests are bringing kids, would you like them to stay?
I absolutely did.
Do you remember him asking you whether or not you wanted the guests that brought kids to stay?
No, he didn't ask me. He was like, there are people with kids. I'll tell them to leave. I'll tell them. And I was like, no, I didn't want to have to deal with the situation. I was a nervous wreck.
So you don't remember him asking you that?
No.
All right. Did either of you bring a copy of the contract?
Yes, we did.
I'd like to see that, please.
It's right here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sean. I don't see anywhere on this contract where it says no children and no cell phones.
That was discussed, Your Honor, that was discussed prior, because I'm talking massive text late at night. I mean, my wife was actually getting very thinking there was something going on, like, is this woman hitting on me or what? These are 11:30, 12:30, 1 a.m. So she had all these little details. So this is the night before the wedding. She said no kids, no cell phones.
No. No, we talked about it.
I have it on my cell phone, yes.
But why is it that important details about what you wanted at your wedding were not inside of the contract? Why wouldn't you demand that that was in the contract, Ms. Jackson?
I don't know. I am not a wedding planner, so I trusted him to know everything that needed to be on that contract.
Mr. Sullivan, why didn't you put it in the contract? You are an experienced wedding planner.
This was all discussed via text.
Coming up.
He started breathing very heavily, and then we thought he was having a heart attack. Instead of it being my moment where I was going to walk down the aisle, he stole all the attention from me.
And later.
If he would have called me when this happened.
But hold on, Mr. Jefferson, he's saying that he called your maintenance person.
They are supposed to call them, but he calls me. He's called me several times.
Hold on.
But he never called me about this.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. We're back with a dispute between bride Nicole Jackson and wedding planner Tim Sullivan over a disastrous wedding day.
Where are the text messages?
I believe we have them printed out, or maybe I did not bring them today, but I do have an email that I sent to her.
I'd like to see that.
Email. This woman's constantly changing her mind.
Well, it was my right to change my mind on my wedding day.
Your marriage is not going to last. Your husband,
the bride is always right.
There's one person crazier, and it's your husband.
Okay, let's get some order. This email says, "Good morning, Miss Jackson. You were a beautiful bride, and we did it. You got down that aisle. It was a blessing. I couldn't have done it without your friend Jessica. She was an absolute lifesaver. Please send her my gratitude. From Tim."
Correct.
So you said you were stressed because she was relying on her friend, but you sent her an email saying you're so happy that her friend stepped in?
Her friend definitely helped, but her friend's just as crazy. She did not save the day. She overstepped the boundaries and was taking on too much stuff.
You were freaking out, and she was calm and collected. I was calm as a cucumber, and everything was perfect. No. Without her, it would have been a disaster.
This woman changes everything.
So let's get some order. Let me read the email. So you then respond back, Miss Jackson. Thank you for the kind message. You're absolutely correct. Jessica would be a great wedding planner, but she was invited to be a guest at the wedding and not work. And since you admitted that you couldn't do it without her, I believe she deserves half of the $2,000 I paid to you. Your panic attack also put a damper on my day and is another example of your inability to properly execute the day of the wedding events as planned. I want to know about this panic attack, Ms. Jackson. What actually happened to Mr. Sullivan? What did he start doing?
Well, it was right when I was about to walk down the aisle, and I said something about the flowers, and he said, but there are enough flowers, and then he started breathing very heavily, and then we thought he was having a heart attack. And so, instead of it being my moment where I was going to walk down the aisle, he stole all the attention from me.
Okay, so in your big moment, you're still very upset about this, because in your big moment as a bride that you had waited for, when you asked him a question about why something was missing, he basically panicked.
Yes. So instead of me walking down the aisle, it was people tending to him because he was having his panic attack. And so we thought it was really serious. We thought it was a heart attack. And then there was a doctor, and he told us, no, it's a panic attack. Don't worry, it's okay. He'll be fine. He just needs to
So this is before you're entering this is before you go up the aisle.
Yes.
And then what does he start doing? Hyperventilating?
Yes.
And then the medic has to come see him?
Yes.
This is all because the flowers weren't what you said?
Yes.
So then what happened for the rest of the reception, Mr. Sullivan?
Your Honor, this is all BS. She's lying through her teeth. I stepped away to make the call. The reason I was panicking and breathing hard is because we didn't have enough tables and chairs for her guests. And also, I was escorting the children out. I had no idea it was her aunt or great aunt or whoever this person wasn't on the list. We had 150 guests. They're all on the list. I make sure that my concierge, valet person checks them all in accordingly, like all my other weddings. It's the perfect wedding.
You're supposed to deal with stressful situations
It's
all
the
the
perfect
time.
wedding. She's delusional.
Did you have a panic attack, Mr. Sullivan?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
So why did the medic have to come talk to you?
That wasn't a medic.
What was it?
There was a doctor at the wedding. He was one of our guests.
He was in all
so
white.
one
He
of
was
your
a
guests
caterer.
had to come.
He was a caterer.
So you
She
never
thinks it was a
panicked.
medic.
You never panicked.
I was breathing a little heavy. I was panicking over the.
Hold on. You
Jessica
openly
said-
admit in this email that her friend Jessica had to help you substantially.
I mean, she helped a little bit. I put that in just because I email all of my clients at the
All
end.
right. Things don't really always go as planned at weddings. We understand that. But we do understand a bride hires a wedding planner so that they do not have to deal with all of the issues that happen at a wedding. Your contract was not clear. You obviously needed some assistance for a friend to have to step in and handle as much as they had to handle. Even though you supposedly are an experienced wedding planner, it makes no sense. A guest should not have to jump up and help you plan. You acknowledge that in your email because you weren't expecting her to then say, I deserve a refund. But after I've heard this story, I can see now that you were not prepared. Now, I do understand that maybe she was changing her mind about a couple things, but that's also part of being a wedding planner. That's the business that you're in. Sometimes you have to make what they call in sports game time adjustments. And that's what wedding planners should be able to do. So it has been determined by this court, the judgment is for the plaintiff for $1,000. Court is adjourned.
All rise.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,000.
I can't believe you called me cray-cray.
This is.
You're the
Yes,
cray-cray.
I'm gonna get my money.
You
I'm
had
gonna
a
bring you back
panic
to court.
attack
I'm
at
gonna
a
bring you back
wedding,
to
and
court.
you're a wedding planner.
You're a master manipulator. This is total.
Yeah, right.
You may exit the courtroom now.
Coming up,
How do you think, Mr. Jefferson, this tub got rusted?
Either two ways. Tie-dyeing, you're doing different stuff.
Lord,
I
he
mean,
got
you
him in
can
there
do-
tie-dyeing. When's the
Exactly.
last time you tie-dyed something?
you're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. Parker Langford claims his former landlord is holding his security deposit hostage. Stephen Jefferson maintains there was significant damage to the bathtub.
Good day, everyone. Good day. This is the case of Langford versus Jefferson. Mr. Langford, you are suing Mr. Jefferson for $2,000. You claim the defendant failed to return your security deposit after you moved out.
There was a little bit of a rocky start at the beginning.
Rocky, that's beside the point.
All right, mostly smooth sailing living there, and except it was a little hard to get him on the phone.
Let's get to the issue, which is why you claim, Mr. Langford, Mr. Jefferson refused to return your security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Usually the reason why you don't get your security deposit back is because there's damage.
Yes.
What was the damage?
The damage was done to the tub. There was a rust stain, and the reason for the rust stain was a water shutoff that I was not given any type of notice about. I wasn't aware of it until I came home from work.
So tell me what happened when you see this water damage.
I immediately contact, there was a maintenance man that I was in contact with. At this point, communication with him, I kind of wanted to cut off as much as I could.
All right, so I'm looking at some pictures now you submitted. This is rusty water coming out of your faucet.
Yes, Your
in
Honor.
the sink.
Yes.
And then also, rusty water in the tub. So you saw this happening and you immediately called maintenance.
Yes,
And
and-
what did they tell you?
He helped me clean it, and this was actually what it looked like after.
If he would have called me when this happened, like he calls me on everything else,
But hold on, Mr. Jefferson, he's saying that he called your maintenance person.
they are supposed to call them, but he calls me. He's called me several times.
Hold on.
But he
You
never called
hold
me about
on.
this.
Coming up,
What could Mr.
I
Langford
think
have
he
done?
did something in there, either two ways. Tie-dyeing, you're doing different stuff.
Lord,
I
he
mean,
got
you
him in
can
there
do-
tie-dyeing. When's the
Exactly.
last time you tie-dyed something?
You
Mr.
know?
Jefferson, that was so 80s of you to
Well,
say
it
that.
is.
But
Actually,
You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake. We're back with the case of Parker Langford, who is fighting with his former landlord, Stephen Jefferson, over a security deposit.
Mr. Langford, did you testify that when you saw the rust coming out of the sink and out of the faucet on the tub, that you called maintenance, or did you call Mr. Jefferson?
I called maintenance and I emailed Mr. Jefferson.
I want to know from you, did your maintenance man ever say to you, I went to fix apartment number, blah, blah, blah,
No,
there's a rust issue?
I never got an email or a text or a phone call from my maintenance man about this problem.
You had no idea?
No idea until I did a walkthrough.
So when you did the walkthrough...
When I did a walkthrough...
When did you walk through? Did you walk through before he left the apartment?
No, I walked through after he left the apartment because I have a lot of apartments that I'm dealing with.
Okay.
I've been an owner and a manager for 20-something years of two different complexes. Exactly.
Okay, so you've got multiple complexes.
Yes.
You don't always do the walkthrough before a person leaves.
I don't. And I actually I sent him an email stating that that was going to be the case, okay? Stating that I wouldn't be able to do the walkthrough right away. And when I did walk through and I saw the rust stains in the tub, I said to myself, okay, well, I can't, he's not going to get his deposit back. So I actually sent him an email stating that.
Did any other tenants have problems with rust?
No.
Any other tenant?
No one ever complained. No other tenants. No. And those water in a complex, the water is, all the pipes are connected, okay, except for the hot water.
So
all the
what I
pipes
want to understand is,
nobody had a complaint.
How do you think, Mr. Jefferson, this tub got rusted? What could Mr. Langford have done?
I think he did something in there either two ways. Tie-dyeing, you're doing different stuff.
Lord, he got him in there tie-dyeing.
Exactly.
When's the last time you tie-dyed something? Mr. Jefferson, that was so 80s of you to say that.
Well, it is, actually.
Judge Lake's verdict when We the People returns. You're watching We the People with Judge Lauren Lake.
I think you left the apartment understanding that, well, they already know about the rust issue. Here it is. I'm getting ready to go. Mr. Jefferson, you cannot hold a former tenant's security deposit for an issue that existed during their lease term, which was remedied by your maintenance staff that you just refused to address because you may say you didn't know, but your maintenance person is an agent. They work with you at your complex. They have the obligation to inform you of these repairs so you can fix them. It is for that reason. The judgment is for the plaintiff. Do you understand? You cannot hold back $2,000 of his security deposit, $1,400 which you should have spent to fix the tub in the first place, and then $600 more that you just decided you're gonna hold back probably for your other units. You cannot do that under the law. Judgment for the plaintiff for $2,000. Court is adjourned.
Judge Lake has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $2,000.
This ain't right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I've been doing
It
this
is.
too long.
You don't think she's right?
Well,
you don't think a judge is right?
I
You're right?
have to abide by what she says, but I'm not happy about
Whatever.
this. Not
You
at
may
all.
now exit the courtroom.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.